Welcome to Make It Rain with Adam Schein on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Thursday edition of Make It Rain with Adam Schein here on VSiN, and my goodness, we have so much to do today. We are exactly 1 week away from the 2025 NFL Draft, and my goodness, we've got props, we've got picks, we've got predictions. We're going to start getting into who's going where and how you can win some money in terms of some plays on the NFL Draft coming up in 1 week. We are going to get into the pucks. We're going to do that in hockey. Mike Somich is going to join us. I think the first round coming up in the NHL is going to be absolutely positively off the charts. Congratulations to the Canadians on clinching a spot in the playoffs last night. So now all the matchups are set. We have some NBA bets we'll get into, some baseball bets we will get into. So much going on in the world of sports, so much to bet on, so many current plays, so many future plays. Our plays have plays, and they're playing baseball today. And there's nothing I love more on Make It Rain with Adam Schein than starting with day ball, baby, and nothing better than betting on afternoon baseball. And I had one play for afternoon baseball today, and it is Arizona. And it's interesting, as I just put up the scoreboard. Guys, give me that scoreboard, because at last check, when I put on the earpiece, it was 6-3, which is kind of a big deal because now it's 6-4. Oh, well, I had Arizona on the run line, guys. So there's that. Got a couple of innings to sweat that puppy out. Arizona has been piping hot, and we have a big picture commentary and some plays on the NL West coming up in a little bit. But Arizona, even forgetting gambling for a second, en route to getting another win, even though we'll be paying attention to the run line at -2.5. How about the Nationals and the Pirates? And this one has been very low scoring this afternoon. And, you take a look at everything going on in this ball game, and, it's one that just went final. The Pirates, hold on. They beat Washington 1-0. If you had O'Neal Cruz home run, congratulations. Solo home run, he led off the game, and obviously the Pirates are able to make that stand. Nice win today for the Pittsburgh Pirates. A little day ball for our friends in Pittsburgh. Mariners and the Reds, couple of teams that I like a lot preseason. 4-3, the Seattle Mariners are leading your Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati. Nothing quite like Dayball and Cincy. Crowds are always great. Energy is always great. Good one today. And again, couple of ones that are interesting on the run line just to follow and monitor, which is why we always love to hit these. And, the A's and the White Sox are playing baseball. I mean, you have to have some action on this one in order to care. A's, White Sox. A's currently have the lead as we speak, 1-0. And here's what's just noteworthy to me in this one, and I've had some success betting on him for hits and also for total bases. Lawrence Butler has a double in this one, and he had a couple of steals last night. He's a very underrated player. Again, playing for the A's. They're literally in a minor league ballpark, playing in Sacramento. So the vast majority of people don't care. But when it comes to daily props, when it comes to daily DFS for baseball, season long, I made sure I got him in my fantasy draft. Lawrence Butler's a really solid ball player, vastly underrated because he plays for the A's. So someone you should always take a look at his props on. So we got 4 games going on as we speak, 3 as the Pirates and the Nationals just went final. And I want to kind of piggyback off my commentary with the Arizona Diamondbacks here and hit on the NL West. And before the season started, I said that 3 teams from that division would make the playoffs. I said 4 teams from the division would find a way to ultimately hit their over on a win total. And you think about it, that's pretty rare. That's pretty crazy, but it kind of hit home how I felt about all these teams. And last night, the Dodgers were able to use a 7-run first to complete the sweep of the absolutely pathetic and embarrassing Colorado Rockies. And the Rockies did come back in this one, but the Dodgers added a couple late. The Dodgers able to beat the Colorado Rockies as you take a look at the final score, 8-7 in this one. The Giants were able to pull away from the Philadelphia Phillies with a 4-run seventh. This was an entertaining series. And a couple of teams I generally enjoy watching. They can hit, they can rake. I have Philadelphia making the playoffs. We loved them before the season started. Giants continue to smash. And you take a look at the Padres, first team in baseball with 15 wins. And how about the fact that they lost the night before? Cubbies win in extras, had the pitching matchups with Shota a couple of nights ago now on the bump. And that was the first home loss of the season. And the Padres instantly bounce back and get a win. I mean, that's heart, that's toughness, that's a great manager, that's skill. They also have a pretty unique knack, different night, different hero. And the studs, Tatis, Machado, they're able to carry the team. Very underrated pitching. And I want you to take a look now with all that as a backdrop at the NL West odds board, because I think this is pretty significant. Look, no one's going to tell you to bet anyone else to win the division. I'm not on planet delusional here. But I do think that when you look at it, and the Padres are 15-4, first team to 15. Remember when people were wondering about the Dodgers scuffling? Not me, other folks who I won't name because I don't want to embarrass them here on national TV and national radio. But you got the Dodgers at 14-6, and they're the best team in baseball. The Giants are legit, and they had a great offseason. They can flat out rake. Pitching is very underrated. And I still think that the second most talented team in this division behind LA, the Arizona Diamondbacks, their 1 through 5 in the batting order is elite. Their starting pitching is strong. And I expect the Arizona Diamondbacks to play even better ball than the solid, respectable, legit 11-7 record that we're looking at to start the season. So I think that watching these teams night in, night out, going into the crystal ball before the season, and then combining all of it, I think that these are good bets when they're playing outside the division. These are not April flukes. These are not teams that you start fading, think that they're going to fade away. I really think that the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Padres, Giants are all here to stay. Look, Mets are scuffling. Braves are a complete and utter mess. You know, there's a real shot that we are talking about 4 teams in this division making the playoffs. 3 is a lock, in my opinion. I wouldn't even be surprised if it turned out to be 4. So love the NL West conversation and the baseball conversation to get things started. The play-in continued last night, and you know my feelings on the play-in. It's a complete and utter waste of time. I have difficulty even, betting on this when it's all said and done, because I just can't even stand watching it. And, give the Mavericks credit. They were able to take care of business, and they blasted the Kings. 44-19 was the difference in the second quarter last night. And then it was bedtime. I got to get up and go to work in the morning. And, it doesn't really matter how this plays out. And, it's interesting. Sacramento was the heavy favorite. Sacramento faded away. Sacramento fired its GM after the game. And, it's kind of a mess when you look at the Kings. They do have some talent even after trading Fox, Sabonis, DeRozan, Levine, Monk, all under contract through the 2026-2027 season. But ownership is obviously a complete and utter mess. And, we'll have to see what the future looks like here when you look at it for the Sacramento Kings. I always want Sacramento to be better, because I think their fans are incredible. I do like the Scott Perry hire. Well-respected general manager, did good stuff with the Knicks. You got Dallas will now take on Memphis. Klay Thompson, that was fun last night. He was hitting bomb after bomb after bomb. And you saw Anthony Davis pouring the points and P.J. Washington. I just hate the Mavericks. I don't like what Nico Harrison said the other day in a press conference. We wouldn't let anybody record it. The Luka Doncic deal is the worst trade ever. Now, this spread fascinates me. I'm not going to make a play on this one, mainly because I don't care. But in theory, Memphis should win this game big. I do have to say, the way Davis and the bigs played for Dallas, if I had to have a lean, it would be to grab the points with the Mavericks. Doesn't mean I'm picking them to win. I'm going to give myself a day to think about this one. But I also think, too, in theory, Dallas, if they could ever win this game, would obviously have some confidence going into the playoffs. But at the end of the day, it's just not going to happen here in terms of the Dallas Mavericks doing anything after making the worst deal in the history of sports. Tyler Hero played hero ball last night for the Miami Heat. 38 points for the Miami Heat superstar as they were able to embarrass the Chicago Bulls. And, this is what they tell me. I wouldn't watch this game if you paid me. And, actually, they're paying me. I was watching baseball last night because I'm more into that. The Bulls turned it over 17 times, shot 10 of 37 from three. I mean, this is unwatchable basketball. This is why the play-in has to go, killing the momentum for what's going to be an unbelievable NBA playoffs. There's no NBA game tonight. How is it Thursday? The playoffs are set, and there's no NBA game tonight. How is that even possible? They tell me the Heat and the Hawks are going to be playing. Winner's going to make the playoffs. Winner's going to be able to lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Look, you want to tell me that one of these teams gets a game from Cleveland? Maybe. You want to tell me that Memphis or Dallas gets a game from OKC? Maybe. If Trae Young decides he wants to show up and play ball, I'll pick the Atlanta Hawks. Also, I don't care. I think that Cleveland's going to smoke whoever actually ultimately wins this game. And I think Cleveland is going to start a march to the NBA Finals.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Unlock your winning edge with an unbeatable offer. Get full VSiN Pro access to everything we do now through August 1st for just $59. Sign up now and save 50% off the regular monthly price with a daily email recapping all the best bets from VSiN hosts and guests. Exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and certain sportsbooks, complete with trends and analysis to sharpen your game. 24/7 video from the VSiN Watch app, plus full VSiN.com access featuring the advanced analytics and pro betting systems. Every sport, every edge, one low price. Don't wait. Get full access through August 1st for just $59. VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Welcome back. Make It Rain with Adam Schein, and we are 1 week away from the NFL draft. Let's go! I love the draft. I'm obsessed with it. It's the ultimate reality show. And listen, this is not a sexy draft. And we've had drafts before where, you have great teams getting elite wide receivers, starting wide receivers at the end of round one. That's not this, right? Last year we had 6 quarterbacks in the top 12 picks. That's not this. But if you like starting players and you're into your team winning, if you have a good organization, you could end up getting, it was called, Mel Kiper Jr. was on my SiriusXM radio show today. This is a deep, talented starter draft. You can draft a bushel of starting ball players for your team in this upcoming draft. I do feel compelled for a second to kind of start at the top. Listen, in a week, Titans are going to have Cam Ward. And Cam Ward was, on one of those video game streams, and he's saying best receiver in the NFL is Calvin Ridley, and Tony Pollard's best running back. He's going to the Titans. And I think Cam Ward is going to be dreamy. And this is coming from me. I invented the Josh Allen bandwagon before the 2018 NFL draft. And I think Cam Ward has some Josh Allen in him. I think that absolutely is the case. And, you look at the Titans and their win total and their future. I mean, I kind of think you want to take the over before it's official with Cam Ward. So I would take the over here for Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. And, no ambiguity, no question mark at the end of the sentence. Cam Ward is going to be drafted by the Tennessee Titans. The Cleveland Browns pick number 2, and that's topic number 2. And absolutely, Cleveland should take Travis Hunter. And Mel Kiper, when he was on our show today, said, this is one of the best prospects he's ever evaluated. And he's rare and he's special. And what he did in college is unbelievable. And look, at the odds for Hunter, I wouldn't even wager on this one. I'd be floored. Same with Vegas in terms of where he goes in this draft. Ward goes 1, Hunter goes 2. It feels like conventional wisdom. I will tell you that the Browns over win total at 4.5 interests me, because I think they're also going to get a quarterback at some point, either trade back into the first round or have the ability to get one at the beginning of round number 2. I think Kevin Stefanski could coach. Not having Deshaun Watson is a huge positive. In conjunction with Hunter, I kind of like the Browns going over. I'm not saying they're going to be good. They did make the playoffs just a couple of years ago. Sadly, I think that Pickett and Flacco an upgrade over what they had with Winston and Flacco and DTR last year. So, can they win 5 games next year? Obviously. The New York Football Giants at 3 have to take Abdul Carter. It's as simple as that. But they also must trade back into the first round for a quarterback. They absolutely have to do that. That is without question what they need to do. They must trade back into the first round. And I don't want to hear about Jalen Milroe. They need to trade back in for Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart, especially if and when one of them falls out of the top 9 in the draft. So conventional wisdom is Carter is going to the Giants. You look at his draft odds. I don't think he's going to Cleveland. If he does, Giants would obviously gobble up Travis Hunter. You put Carter on that line with Sexy Dexy and Brian Burns, and with Thibodeau, I think that becomes one of the best pass rushes and defensive lines in the entire league, which is kind of a big deal when it comes to the New York Football Giants having some kind of strength. That's something they can hang their hat on when it comes to this upcoming season. How about the New England Patriots, biggest losers of the final week of the season? Joe Milton, are you kidding me? My goodness, that was rough stuff. And they had the number 1 pick, would have had Travis Hunter. The odds-on favorites, when you look at the Patriots and their odds board, it's clearly Will Campbell, who I like. I also think that when you look at the New England Patriots, I want to throw out one other name when you look at the odds board. And that name is Ashton Jeanty. I think that when you look at this football team, I just want to remind you who Mike Vrabel had for all those years when you look at the Tennessee Titans. That was Derrick Henry. Kiper told me that Ashton Jeanty, and Mel's not a draft running backs in the first round guy. He has Jeanty as his 4th best player in the draft. 4th best player in the entire draft. So that's a name just to reference. Not pictured on the odds board was Mason Graham. And I do think that he is a vintage Vrabel kind of ball player on the defensive side. But I think there's a real shot to help out their young quarterback that Jeanty's the pick. Right now, if you were forcing me to name a name, I'd say Will Campbell. I'm not worried about the arms. But Jeanty for Vrabel makes sense. And I'm telling you, Jeanty's going to be a superstar. And if you don't believe me, ask him. He penned on the Players Tribune that he thinks he's going to have a Saquon Barkley impact on whatever team he gets drafted to. I think he's going 4 through 6 in this draft. I think he's going either to the Patriots, the Jacksonville Jaguars, or Jeanty is going to the Raiders. That's what I believe. I also think if for some reason I'm wrong, and it's the draft, so there's always, a feeling of ambiguity and unknown, right? One crazy pick and, Shedeur Sanders goes 3, and then we never even had this conversation, right? I think he would never get past the Chicago Bears. Take a look at the odds board for Ashton Jeanty. I think the best value on the board is New England. But if you're looking to place a wager on Jeanty, and again, Vegas, conventional wisdom, Raiders, I would put a buck down on Jaguars at plus 500. I think the juice and the value there is absolutely off the charts. But again, do not sleep on the New England Patriots when it comes to Ashton Jeanty. And with that said, Marion Hampton is going to be an excellent player. And Mel Kiper was raving about him when we talked to him today. And the three teams I think you keep in mind for him are the Bears. And again, remember, anyone says that's too high, just remember Ben Johnson was in Detroit when they drafted, obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs. I can't see him solely rolling with Swift. Bears are going to draft a running back either round 1 or round 2 or round 3. Hampton, to me, is an absolute stud. What's interesting, guys, put up the odds board for Hampton. The over-under draft position, 19.5. My 3 fits for Hampton, I have the Bears, who pick at 10, the Cowboys, who pick at 12, but then the Broncos, who pick at 20. So if you think that he's going to get by Dallas or Chicago, and I'm not convinced that's the case, then I think you go with a different bet on Omarion Hampton, who I think is going to be an excellent, excellent, excellent value. You know, when you start taking a look at teams that need a running back, Broncos to draft the running back in the first round is at plus 110. Bears is at plus 225. Cowboys, I believe, are either going to go with Golden, the receiver, or with a running back in the first round. That, to me, is where the best juice is. Of course, this is, in fact, the draft of Shedeur Sanders, and he's meeting with the Giants today. I think we're going to be looking at Shedeur Sanders somehow, some way, some shape, some form, going to the Giants. I think the Saints, that's conventional wisdom, Vegas favorite. I think the Saints are going to take Jackson Dart. We told you that last week at plus 600. We locked that in last week on Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Steelers are in play. Aaron Rodgers talked to our friend Pat McAfee today. Clearly, he's not in a rush to play football. I think the Steelers drafting someone like Sanders is very much in the equation. You look at Jackson Dart now and the odds, going top 10, the number has shrunk. You know, right now it's still good juice at plus 270. I just hope you locked that puppy in last week when we said at plus 600. I think there are only 2 wide receivers going in the first round of the draft. That's it. I think we're looking at Ted McMillan. I think we're looking at Matthew Golden. I'll give you an interesting one, right? Look at the odds for first receiver drafted. I would make a play on Golden. Golden has speed. Tet's fallen just a little bit. I only think we're going to be looking at 2 being selected. Over-unders 2.5 when it comes to receivers. I would definitely take the under on that. But I can see Golden going first either to Dallas or the Arizona Cardinals in the first round of the NFL Draft.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Horse racing fans, get ready. VSiN at the track. The road to the Kentucky Derby is live tomorrow and every Friday leading up to the Triple Crown. It's kind of amazing. Key Derby prep this weekend. We're breaking down the top contenders for this year's Run to the Roses. Join the experts, my guys, Mike Somich and Aaron Halterman, tomorrow at 2:10 p.m. Eastern on the VSiN YouTube channel at VSiN Live for the expert analysis and the insights. Don't miss it. VSiN at the track. Tomorrow, streaming live, 2:10 p.m. Eastern Time, as we count down to the Triple Crown. Welcome back, Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Joining us right now live in the Progressive Guest Line. You know him, you love him, you can't live without him. The aforementioned Mike Somich, of course, the host of Ready, Set, Bets on VSiN every weekend from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Mike, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, Adam. I mean, this is one of my favorite times of the year. You've got the NHL playoffs. We're tipping off the NBA playoffs. We're talking about the Triple Crown. What more could you want right now? I get we don't have football, we don't have March Madness, but that's okay. We got some great sports action.
I'm with you. We have baseball, have the draft. There's so much to really just get fired up about and bet on. And I'll tell you, I'm a hockey fan. For me, of the Big Four, it's four of four. But playoff hockey, there's nothing like it. And from an entertainment perspective, a betting perspective, there's chaos, Mike, which is what makes the Stanley Cup postseason absolute golds. I am fired up to get into these matchups with you, and the Canadians make it, so all the matchups are now said. Golden Knights taking on the Wild. I kind of really dig Vegas in this one. What's your play on Vegas and Minnesota?
You know, I agree with you, Adam. I think Vegas set up for a very nice first-round draw here. This is a Minnesota Wild team that we saw play well early in the season, but they lost a couple of their key players in Kirill Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson Ek. Middle of the season, neither played 50 games for them now. They both came back for the final 4 games of the regular season. They ended up going 3-1 in that stretch, but all 4 games were against non-playoff teams, and all 3 wins took overtime to be able to pull it off. On the other side, you've got a Vegas Golden Knights team that just has depth for days. They can roll through multiple top lines of forwards, get scoring from multiple lines. They've got Adam Hill in net, who is a solid goaltender for them. You've got multiple defensive pairings that can go up against the big guns from Minnesota. And Vegas, for everything you'd expect from a sports town, is one of the toughest places to play in the playoffs as well. Vegas right now, a pretty nice favorite here, minus 205. I think they're able to get this series done pretty quickly. I laid the game and a half with them. So Vegas to win 4-2 or better here. You can get that at plus money, plus 110. So give me Vegas minus a game and a half in this spot, Adam.
I love that. How about the Hurricanes and the Devils? What's your play on this series?
We're looking at this one from a similar angle here. And this has been a Hurricanes team that has had a rocky year. They trade for Mikko Rantanen about, a month and a half before the trade deadline. They're not able to extend him, and they gave up Martin Necas, one of their better scorers, to do so. And then they have to move on from Rantanen as well. So this is offense not where it needs to be able to make a deep run. But this defense is extremely solid. And the Devils, on the other hand, they don't mind giving up goals. And so I think Carolina able to get enough goals in the net to be able to win this series rather handily as well. Also a very tough place to play in Raleigh, North Carolina there. That building will be buzzing. Another situation where even though they're the big favorites here in Carolina, sitting around minus 230, I'm willing to lay that game and a half and get a little bit better of a price in this spot. So give me the Hurricanes minus a game and a half, minus 115 here.
Lightning Panthers, I think that's going to be a hell of a series. I kind of really like Tampa in this one. It's interesting. In Florida, obviously, they make the trade. They won the cup. I think this is going to be and this could be the best one in the first round, 7-game series, couple of teams I really, really like. What's your play coming up for the Panthers and the Lightning?
Well, the odds makers agree with you here, Adam. This is going to be a phenomenal series. You mentioned the chaos that we expect every year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Well, the number 1 seed in the East is the Washington Capitals, but your number 1 and number 2 betting choices in the East are the Florida Panthers and this Tampa Bay Lightning team. And I think people are sleeping on Tampa here. I think it's a great spot for them. They have the most goals scored in the Eastern Conference, the least goals against in the Eastern Conference. And they get a Florida team that is really limping to the finish line here. Just 3-7 in their last 10, and a team that's really been dealing with a lot of injuries. So Alexander Barkov's been in and out of the lineup. He's struggling to stay healthy. And their key player and captain, Matthew Tkachuk, hasn't been seen since the Four Nations. He's rumored to be back at some point during this round, but it's going to be hard to just insert him into the lineup. And what made Florida so good the last few postseasons is they can just grind you down. They can get the puck deep. They forecheck. They hit. They create offensive opportunities off those turnovers. When you're missing a couple of your big guys, that makes it much more difficult. On top of that, this is the key in this series to me. You've got the Tampa Bay Lightning, the number 2 power play in the NHL, clicking close to 25% every time they get the opportunity, facing the most penalized team in the NHL here in the Florida Panthers. If the Panthers don't stay out of the box, Tampa Bay will make them pay. I think the Lightning are able to get through a long series here and become your clear-cut favorite in the East after they do so. So I'll take the minus 105 here with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think this should be like minus 130, minus 135. So I think there's some pretty good value here.
Wow, love that. And that's going to be a hell of a series. I'm fascinated by Kings Oilers. And when I say fascinated, I mean I kind of need an injury report on Edmonton. Now, I'm picking the Oilers. And just so you know, this was my preseason pick. So some of it is stubborn. Some of it is I want for hockey McDavid to win the Stanley Cup. I don't necessarily think the Kings are great, but they might be getting Edmonton at the right time. I will bet the Oilers, and I will all postseason. Could be one round for all I know. I'll take Edmonton. Who do you like in this one?
it's tough going against the best player in the world. And that's what Connor McDavid is. He was injured down the stretch. He came back for the final 4 games of the season, and he looked like his old self. He put the Blues to sleep with 3 assists, able to get a 4-3 win over one of the hottest teams in the NHL there. But this is a different Oilers team than last year, right? They lose Holloway and Broberg during the offseason to offer sheets to St. Louis. Ekholm out for the season. Evander Kane out for the season. Draisaitl did not play the last few games of the regular season. We're not sure if he's going to be back to be able to start this playoffs. This is not nearly as deep of an Oilers team as we saw last year when they were able to roll through 3 or 4 lines, get consistent offense, and have multiple defensive players that could really inject offense into the lineup from the back half of the ice as well. On top of that, I'm still not convinced they have the problem solved at goaltender here. I would love to see Connor McDavid win a Stanley Cup, but it's going to be tough to do with this team this year. And on the other side, you've got a hungry Los Angeles Kings team. You mentioned you love the playoffs here in hockey. One of the best parts of it, you have to face your division rivals year in and year out.
Yeah.
This will be the 4th straight year that Edmonton will be playing Los Angeles. Edmonton 3-0 in the previous years. You know the Kings would love to give it back to them here and knock them out of the playoffs after the 3 previous defeats they've faced. And this is a Kings team that is 17-4 in their last 20 games. All of a sudden, their offense has exploded, and they've been able to find scoring up and down the lineup. You've got Anze Kopitar, who is playing phenomenal at my age right now as a 2-way defensive center that you can put against Connor McDavid and say, okay, we'll shut McDavid down. You figure out where the goals are going to come from if we do so. I think all that adds up to a Kings revenge series here, and they're able to get the job done over an Oilers team that just isn't at full strength. They're just not at 100% at the worst time of the year here. So give me the Kings here, plus 115 to get past Edmonton.
I mean, I hate hearing the truth because I have an Oilers ticket, but everything you said is accurate. Now, also before the season, I picked Toronto to go to the Stanley Cup final, and that's a running thing, and I do that every year. And there will be a point that I'm right, and I'm sure I'll never regret saying this, Mike, never regret it, but I love the Maple Leafs going up against the Senators.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. This is a good match. Well, I should say that. I don't disagree with you in this series. This is a good matchup here for the Leafs.
Fair enough.
They should be able to exercise some of those playoff demons, be able to get past this round. Longevity-wise, I do think they're in trouble trying to come out of this Eastern Conference, although it is fairly wide open. I do like the Hurricanes quite a bit. I like the winner of that Florida-Tampa series a lot. And I think that the other team that really could make some noise are the Leafs. But they would be in that 3rd ranking for me out of teams out of the East that I think get out of the playoffs. However, I do think they take down the upstart here Senators early in round 1.
So I'm curious. Give us your Stanley Cup bet and prediction.
Well, I've got a couple futures tickets. So I've got 3 Western Conference teams all to win the Cup. I've got St. Louis at a monster number. I've got the Colorado Avalanche at 14 to 1. I've got the Golden Knights at 12 to 1. I think the winner's coming out of the West. And like I said, I think out of the East, it's between Florida and Tampa. Whoever gets out of that series ends up representing the East in the Stanley Cup. I think it's Tampa. I think they go back to the Stanley Cup. And I think Vegas is going to be very happy here. I think the Golden Knights get a nice second-round matchup against the winner of that Kings-Oilers series. They advance to the conference finals. And on the other side of the bracket, you're going to have very good teams beating up against each other. I think Vegas able to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals. I think Vegas hoists up the banner this year after beating the Lightning at 6.
10 seconds. You think St. Louis beats the Jets?
My heart says yes. My head says no.
Okay. Love it. That's why Mike Somich is the best.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Unlock your winning edge with an unbeatable offer. Get the full VSiN Pro access to everything we do now through August 1st for just $59. Sign up now and save 50% off the regular monthly price with a daily email recapping all the best bets from the VSiN hosts and guests, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circus Sportsbooks, complete with trends and analysis to sharpen your game. 24/7 video on the VSiN Watch app, plus of course, at the end of the day, we got incredible stuff with the summer special, which is absolutely positively amazing. Got the splits, Circa known for taking the big bets from the professional bettors, while DraftKings provides a broader market perspective. That means you're getting the real action, not just the public money. Kind of wagers that move the lines. See the percentage of bets from the percentage of handle on every single game across every major sport, helping you make smarter, more informed bets. That's VSiN Summer Special right now for $59. It's always summer at VSiN through August 1st. VSiN.com/subscribe. Welcome back, Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Time for our news, notes, nuggets, and nightly plays. And the schedule for the NBA playoffs is officially set for Saturday. Still waiting to see everything for Sunday, who's ultimately in with the dopey playing, and no action tonight, which is just wrong and criminal and, kills the buzz. And it's going to be an unbelievable postseason. By the way, the Bucks could get Damian Lillard back at some point during this series. Our friend Shams Charania from ESPN filed that report before we started today's sizzling edition of Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Bucks Pacers going to get the party started as the first game, 1 of 4 coming up on Saturday. And I'll tell you, I will absolutely grab the points with the Bucks. Bucks plus 5.5 to me is the play. Not screaming a win in Indiana. I almost feel like that's disrespectful, but this line feels disrespectful to Milwaukee. I mean, Giannis is the best player on the court. The Bucks are on a 8-game winning streak. Now, obviously, Indiana, as we mentioned, great place to play. Carlisle, much better coach than Doc Rivers. Love Halliburton, love Toppin, love how battle-tested and tough and together this team is. But we will grab the points here with the Milwaukee Bucks at getting 5.5. I think that the biggest killer with the time off in between the end of the regular season and the start of the actual playoffs, it's Clippers-Nuggets, because this to me is the best pure ball series of the first round. Like, if you love ball, you're excited about this one, right? It's as simple as that. And, we're talking about killing momentum. The Clippers and the Nuggets are not national teams in any way, shape, or form. I wish they were, but they're just not. And the Clippers had that incredible win in Golden State and can't even ride that momentum into the playoffs in terms of, viewership and interest level and betting. I'll tell you, this one is as fascinating a game as you could find. And, my original thought on this game is take the over, 225. I kind of dig the over. A lot of points in this one. I think defense is going to be optional, especially on the Denver side. So this is the only series I haven't been able to lock in a winner yet. We will do it for tomorrow's sizzling edition of Make It Rain with Adam Schein. But this is a true 7-game series. I think that the over for this game makes a ton of sense. But take a look at the series board for the Clippers and the Nuggets. I think it's going to be real interesting to see ultimately how it plays out. The best thing I could say in terms of betting, take 7. Whether it's Denver or Clippers, there's a part of me that thinks home court matters. Jokic, best player on the floor. And this team has been, together since they fired Mike Malone. Ty Lue on the other side is a great coach. Kawhi Leonard, say what you want about him with, taking all these games off. I mean, he's not doing that in the playoffs. And he's obviously been, a prolific, amazing postseason performer, won a couple of championships. James Harden has been a poor playoff performer, but he's on one hell of a heater. I think that the Clippers, you could make the case outside of OKC, they are as strong a team as any in the Western Conference. So take it, whoever you like in this series. I would say either take Denver 4-3 at plus 350 or take the Clippers 4-3 at plus 600, which honestly, and then you have to assume that they could win a game 7 in Denver. I don't think that is impossible. Pistons next. Excited for this one. 6 o'clock Eastern, Madison Square Garden. Be there. Can't wait for it. This number feels high. I think the play here is Detroit plus 7. Madison Square Garden. I was there last year for game 1. It was his exact time slot, right? Saturday, 6 o'clock, Philadelphia. that joint was jumping. I haven't heard MSG like that since the 90s Knicks, right? I think this team, even with the expectations, it's just the Knicks are something off, right? Off in being a truly great team. Won over 50 games, love Tom Thibodeau. I think the Knicks win this game. I think the Knicks win this series. I think the Knicks, this series going over 5.5 is my play at -125. I think Knicks in 6 at +425 is the series play. I would grab the points, though, with the Pistons coming up for Saturday night. We, of course, have the Timberwolves and the Lakers. That is the Saturday night game coming up at 8:30 Eastern Time. That's going to be a fun way to cap off day one of the NBA playoffs. Love the Lakers. I'm honestly stunned that this is only 4 points. I absolutely will lay the 4 with the Lakers. I don't think Luka. Especially Nico Harrison keeps talking. The more and more I want to pick the Lakers and every single over prop for Luka Doncic. It's as simple as that. I am going to lay the 4 with the Lakers. And I think when you look at the series board for this baby, I think Lakers in 5. And I think the games will be competitive, right? But I think that the Lakers are just significantly better, more together. I don't think the Timberwolves are that good. I think they were on the wrong end of the Karl Anthony Towns deal. So we are going to roll here with the LA Lakers and the Lakers in 5. Let's get into some baseball for tonight. We have the Giants and the Phillies. We raved about this series earlier and why they're two of my favorite teams right now in baseball to watch. And, you take a look at it from a Phillies perspective, and you got to expect that at some point Philadelphia is going to be able to get one of these babies. And, obviously pitching matchup tonight really favors the Philadelphia Phillies. Phillies, it makes me nervous when it comes to the run line for a game like this, just because of the respect level that I do have here for the San Francisco Giants. But I do think Philadelphia tonight with Sanchez against Hicks should be able to get that one done. So that game is going to start right after us. Looking forward to that. Royals, Tigers. This one interests me. I had them as my top 2 teams in the Central. Detroit, Kansas City. Listen, I think that, Kansas City's inability to hit has frustrated me. But I do think Kansas City with Mike Lorenzen on the bump +130, that play interests me greatly. Yankees, Rays in Tampa at the Yankees facility. Yankees run money line, a Yankees -108. That one I think is a strong play for tonight. And we'll see if Juan Soto could get a hit. My Yankees won last night. You saw Cody Bellinger with that unbelievable play in the 9th in a 4-3 game to make sure the Royals tying run didn't score. That butcher, Juan Soto, would have never caught that ball. Let me see if I could find Juan Soto's batting average. Oh, there it is. 238. 230, you got to scroll to the bottom of the leaderboard. 0 for 5, 3 strikeouts. I'll be curious to see if the Boo Birds start to come out as he keeps daydreaming about what life was like with Aaron Judge. In a related story, I do think the Mets will win tonight. Let's give out our best bets. Brought to you by G-Bank, official bank of Visa, and G-Bank upping the ante with up to $750 bonus for the new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. First, the new customers spend $1,000 eligible purchases within 90 days for account opening and receive a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads in the first 30 days of the opening, you'll receive another $500 bonus. That's potentially a $750 bonus. Apply now at Visa.com/GBank. Visa.com/GBank. It is subject to the old credit approval. Terms plus conditions do apply. For our best bet, Yankees, baby. Yankees are going to be at home. Spring training facility. Money line against the Rays. This is going to be just filled to capacity with Yankees fans tonight. Anyone actually know an actual real life fan of the Tampa Bay Rays? Just saying. We will take the Yankees money line as our best bet. Stay tuned to VSiN after Make It Rain for Follow the Money. Well-deserved vacation for Mitch and Paulie. Matty Humans and JVT will be sitting in. Then it's VSiN Prime Time. Then, of course, cashing out with Joseph Serralo. Thanks to our guys in Vegas. Thanks to Mike Cohen. We will talk to you mañana. Make it rain with Adam Schein.